And we are celebrating this week achieving bestseller status for Voices of the 21st Century, Women Transforming the World. Hi, I'm Laura Rubenstein here with the founder of Women Speakers Association, Gail Watson. Hi, Gail.
Hi, Laura. Hi, everyone.
Well, as I said, we hit #1 bestseller for Voices of the 21st Century, Women Transforming the World. What a great accomplishment. Congratulations to all of us, to all of the 45 authors in here. And Gail, tell us what we accomplished.
Oh, we accomplished a lot. This has been the greatest experience ever. So the book went bestseller in 4 different countries and was #1 in 10 different categories. So we've had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. And I thought we could take a look behind the scenes a little bit today and talk about how women are actually moving forward in their transformation. What happened through the creation? I mean, we took basically 9 months to birth this book, right? So what happened? Tell us a little bit behind the scenes.
Well, a little bit of behind the scenes is when stories first come in. What happens is women submit their ideas for a story, and we have a conversation about it to see if it's something that feels like a good fit. And what's really interesting, what shows up when we talk about women transforming the world, these are the stories that have been presented forward. But when we go behind the curtain on this, it's the actual authors here, the women who have transformed as well. Because there's so many times where we're having that conversation with that first time author. There's a lot of fear. It takes a lot of courage to really overcome yourself to get your story out. And I've had a lot of different conversations with women about well, I don't have a story in me, and who's going to read my story, and what kind of difference is it going to make, and there's all this, a lot of self-talk and self-doubt, which, I mean, we all have it. And what's beautiful, what happens, I mean, Laura, you just hosted that amazing live stream a couple days ago during the launch, and I just, as each author went through and shared, I just saw her in her power. I mean, she had transformed just over the past few months. She was strong in her story. I just had that there was this confidence. And I've always said that the greatest gift that I I feel and receive from when we launch Voices of the 21st Century book is the transformation I witness in just the women who come in, and they get the gift of belief in themselves that yes, your story matters. Yes, people are going to read it. Yes, it happens. And guess what? You woke up today and you're now an international best-selling author in 4 different countries and #1 in 10 categories.
Yeah.
It's
And I have to
beautiful.
concur. I have to concur. Like the transformation is amazing. A lot of these authors, many of them they've had the idea, I'm going to write a book. They have a big idea. And sometimes the big idea stops them because it's like, oh, deer in headlights, right? And since we broke it down into just write 1,000-word story, let's take you through the whole process of from writing, editing, creating, and marketing this book and show you, first of all, you and help you become a best-selling author, first of all, and second of all, let you get the feedback from your particular audience. It's so empowering. It's so transformational, and there's stories about their transformations. Tell us about the stories that you've read in here.
We're seeing stories of different people who helps people in addiction, because that was her past. We're talking about people who have had their experience in a DNA match and how their family is redefined. We're seeing stories of breaking the stigma of mental health. I mean, we just uh, they're right across the full spectrum of somebody's life. And that's what makes it really beautiful, is these are stories from the heart, from their truth. And I think that's why we feel so vulnerable in wanting to share these stories, because they come from deep inside. And that's scary, because when we put it out there, it's out there. It's
Yeah.
around the world.
it takes courage, and we saw a lot of women's courage in that vulnerability, being willing to share, and they realize that when they share, they're breaking free from their past and into their power, and they are also giving permission to others. We had one woman whose husband died, but it was a bad situation to begin with. So how does she deal with the guilt of the death and the fact that she didn't want to be with him in the first place? Or maybe they had just divorced. You have to read the story. And to people who have dealt with discrimination, and how did they overcome people with disabilities, and how did they? So it takes away all of our excuses, and it really says if they can do it, we can do it. I just love these transformative stories, because sitting there reading them is transformational. And what is next for Women Speakers Association and the Voices? Every year we come out with one of these books, and it has a different theme. So what is the next progression? Where are we going?
Well, we were talking afterwards, after we were showcasing all the authors just a couple of days ago. Check that live stream out. It's moving. It really is. Yeah, give shivers to yourself. And we're talking about how the butterfly is a symbol of transformation, and when that butterfly goes through went from the caterpillar to the butterfly, it goes through that transformational process. And when it becomes that butterfly, the butterfly is just born. And now you go, well, what is the job of the butterfly right now? It's beautiful. Well, the job of the butterfly is a pollinator. It's to go around, it's to touch all the flowers, the vegetables in the garden, and help them grow and develop. And that's the way we look at these authors in this book right now. Is they're born, and now their job is to go spread their message. So any kind of transformation. And that's what led us to, when witnessing the women who are in purpose, that's where their power is. And it's the pathway we're on. And when we start to look forward and what kind of messages we want to bring forward, we want to bring that visual of a pathway with stepping stones. Because when we go on our path, we know that with each step we receive something with each step. And when we're ready to take the next step, one of the beautiful things about that pathway is we can leave something behind as well for teaching. So when we are in purpose, and when we are walking our pathway of purpose, that's where our power is. And those are the stories that we want to hear about for Voices of the 21st Century coming up.
I love that. So if people feel like they've been through a transformation and they're now pollinating the world because they're aligned to their purpose, in their power, there's a story there. There's a message that will impact somebody greatly. And even if I know that we've had women also, we make it sound like all the women are just brand new authors in this book, but they're not. We have very experienced authors in here who have multiple best-selling books, and they come back because there's something to this process that Women Speakers Association offers. There's in the process, and it's another venue to get their message out and to do that pollinating. Right.
One of the authors said it beautifully, that in 2020, when she was in a book, when the world was disconnected and you were, locked down, she said, I came out of that year with 49 new friends. And that was always, and I think that's one thing that this experience really brings when we take a look behind the curtain. Yes, you get your story out. Yes, you get lots of publicity. Yes, it helps you in all different ways. But you also make friendships. You make connections. And this is a group you're forever bonded with, forever, because you are in the same book together. And when we talk about, to work in Amazon these days, it's a lot. They've changed it. It's harder to achieve certain categories and things like that. So when we witness the power of collaboration, it is the power of collaboration that really helps to achieve and gets you on 4 countries. I know if I was doing it myself, I couldn't get out there to 4 different countries. It is having that global influence.
Yeah, I love the whole process, being a part of the organizing of that. where we bring the authors together every single month to connect, to collaborate, to learn, to strategize on bringing not only this book to number one, but they also get their own custom paperbacks with their name on it, with their photo on it. And it allows them to then have a whole nother business model,
Yeah.
right?
Product.
To monetize their business with. And we give them some really stellar training on how to leverage that book and bring in boatloads of money. Like you can really sell the books in bundles and get more speaking engagements, get more media. And we give that training, and we give all the graphics and the support, and we step you through it. So it's an accountability process. It's a writing process. It's a publishing process. It's a marketing process. And I really hand it to you, Gail, for making it so accessible.
Oh, thank you. Well, that was the whole intention of it, is that it's important for people to know our stories. It really, really is. And the celebrities can get their names out there really easily. They have the money, they have the influence. But for us, everyday voice, we have something to say, and it's really important. And no one should leave this planet, no one, with their story inside of them. Even if it's just one time, get it into a book. Books last forever. And Voices of the 21st Century, I promise you, this series will one day be researched by the generations ahead. And this is our opportunity to speak forward, to allow people to get to know us as women and how we show up in this world today in 2023. All the different things we do. I know the authors in this book, there's some dealing with losses within their family. There's some people dealing with recovery of their business, being, it's been challenging. Others are in that sandwich generation. They've got young kids, they're dealing with elder care, and we're being tugged and pulled in all different ways. And at the end of the day, how do we let ourselves come out? How do you get to know me? What's my message? And so this is the opportunity that this book allows a platform, view it as a platform for your voice. And that's why, Laura, I think a lot of people, I think of Tracy Eamon, who first shared her story 6 years ago in Voices of the 21st Century about and coming out publicly about a cancer journey. And in this one, she continues on and how it's completely transformed her life, completely. So, yeah, giving you just that platform to come out and give permission to yourself that, yes, your message matters.
Yes, it does. And it transforms lives. And you never know who's going to read your story or hear from you or want more from you after reading your story. So it's a great opportunity for that visibility. And, Women Speakers Association is not just for speakers, because we're all speakers. We all have most of us have a voice, and others of us have other ways to speak. And we can get our message out in a lasting way. It sits on somebody's shelf. When they pick it up anytime they want, they're moved, they're touched, they're inspired to take that next step, to keep on keeping on and inspire and stay inspired, or go inspire someone else. So you might be wondering, how can you find out about maybe bringing your message out into the world in our next book, which will come out next February? But the process starts now. So if you're like, yeah, I got to write my book, but you don't really know where to start with a story. Join us. You can at least put your hat in the ring by talking to Gail. You're going to you fill in a form at voicesofthe21stcentury.com, voicesofthe21stcentury.com, and you'll start your journey. And it may or may not be with us, but at least have a conversation about that with Gail. It's a beautiful one. I love being a part of the Voices of the 21st Century as an author and a coordinator and a collaborator, because the women are just so full of heart. And to have a whole nother sisterhood community is also so empowering. And so it makes the women do their work boldly, more authentically, more reliably in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can't emphasize more. Let's just have a conversation. If you think you don't have a story or you're not sure where to start, all of that kind of just, fill out. You'll go to voicesofthe21stcentury.com. I think it's just below my picture here. You can see the website, and it'll ask you who you are and just a couple different questions. And then what I'll do is I'll send you a link and we can book a time. That's just a time to connect. It's just a time to explore. No other kind of obligation, but it's just a way to see things. And you know what? If Voices of the 21st Century doesn't become a fit, I would love to share any other resources or ideas to help support you in the very best way possible. So please, let's just have a call.
I've heard from so many people who've had a call with you. They're like, oh, I had a call with Gail and it's exactly what I needed. I just got inspired. And some of them went on to be authors. Some of them just not just, some are just members or are members that just feel very connected to the organization, right?
Yeah.
And to a new sense of renewed hope and energy. And they go and they take off, what they've always wanted to do. And for some reason you unlocked it for them. So there's a little magic you do on those calls.
Well, I firmly and wholeheartedly agree that there is no message greater, there is no message less than your gifted message. And sometimes it's simply having somebody else kind of give you the permission or the key or show you how to unlock it and let it fly free. Because as a gift, it needs to be shared. And one of the authors said it, maybe you can help me remember this, Laura. She said that these stories are waiting to find their reader in this book. And didn't you just have an experience with somebody who picked up a copy of the book?
Yeah. I asked her to buy it to support me, and which she's happy to do. And she goes, you know what? I found myself just reading and reading. And it was really nurturing and really wonderful for me, for where I'm at in my life right now, to read these stories. There's so much hope that I felt and more connection to my soul because of it. And it was just a beautiful, she was just like, yeah, I just couldn't stop reading.
That's awesome, because that's the way the book is designed. It's designed for the story to find the reader. So every reader will have a different experience. It's not a page 1 to page 200 kind of book. It's the story finds the right person. And this is where you're the powerful one. This is when you're in your purpose. This is your power. By sharing your message, you get to have that impact in another person's life.
Yeah.
Nothing greater.
So I'd like to leave everyone with another invitation to speak with you, to fill out the form at voicesofthe21stcentury.com and learn more about your visibility, amplifying it, getting your voice out there. Your message matters. So thanks, Gail.
Thanks, Laura.
We'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.